right. Well, not the stuff I certainly wanted to be talking about today, or at all. Yeah. Well, happy to be with you guys. I know a lot of people have asked me my opinion on where we go from here. And just my opinion on the game and whatnot. So why I started doing this a couple months back is because people just want to know my opinion, I guess. And it's not a brag. It's not. It's just easier to do this and send it to everybody and say, okay, here you go. I had 4 people text me this morning. So what do you think? You all right? They gave me 24 hours, which was nice. I appreciate it. I definitely needed it. But yeah, so McDermott just talked. Actually, Bean just talked, and McDermott talked before him. So now you get me, huh? It's a really hard pill to swallow. How Sunday night went, and just the flow of that game. It's just one of those games that, like, I felt pretty good going into it. I did. And as the first quarter and really first half went, it's kind of like, all right, this is going to be a back and forth, and whoever either turns the ball over in a crucial spot or, quite frankly, has the ball last is probably going to win. And all things aside of what happened in the game, and I'll get to it a little bit. We had an opportunity. We had a shot. We had the ball on the Chief 27, 26 yard line, 2-minute warning to either tie or, go up. And how it was going, we were in terms of, blow, we were the ones going up 4. You'd want to be on that side when you're in that type of game. Kansas City scores every time, and they're up 3. So at least we have an opportunity to tie. If not, go up 4, and you force them to obviously score a touchdown to win a game. So I was very pleased with the approach, at least from the jump. You remember what I said last week? Running the football, man, is something that, again, against especially that opponent, it's just going to help you dramatically. We went on these long drives, and obviously time of possession greatly favored us, and it was because of our run game, and we were effective. I mean, sure, there were some plays that Kansas City made and we didn't, but just from a run standpoint and stopping the run, I felt like I guess the biggest frustration to me is, and I said it, I don't know if I said it in the video last week, but I know I said it at the tailgate to the folks that I was with. I feel as if the winner of Sunday night's divisional game was going to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, it's, remained to be seen here if Kansas City goes on to do it. But I just feel like with the 2 quarterbacks that played in that football game are on another level than everybody else in the league. That includes Lamar Jackson. That includes Joe Burrow. That includes anybody you want to include. There's just, it's those 2 guys, and then I'm not gonna say everybody else because I think there's another level, and that level would probably include a Burrow and maybe from a talent standpoint, a Herbert. But when both of those guys played and were trying to will their teams to victory with the plays that they were making, obviously with both arm and foot. It's just, you're going to get a theme here, and I'm surprised that it took me 5 minutes. One guy's supporting cast did just that. Support. And the other guy's supporting cast, outside of a couple, just fell flat on their fucking face. And I'm going to wait on that for just a second. I'm just going to give the rest of my game breakdown here for just a minute. But, obviously we only scored 7 points in the second half. I know one reason as to why that happened. I'll get to that in just a minute. But, and it's not an excuse, but the defensive injuries just caught up to us. Look, Kansas City, that quarterback and that coach, when they know that there's a chink in the armor, they're going to just keep pounding at that spot. And they tried to get Klein going east and west. They put Klein in coverage, and they exploited it. And it's like, they went at Dane Jackson a couple times. That touchdown to Kelsey where he's wide open, it looked like it was cover 3, and Dane just didn't roll back. He went with the underneath route, to which Johnson also went to, and boom, you have a wide open tight end for an easy layup touchdown. Does that happen with a Christian Benford? I don't think so, because Benford's obviously been the starter the whole year. So it's things like that. Again, not an excuse, but that's call a spade a spade. And kudos to Kansas City for exploiting it, because that's what I thought that we should have done to them. Willie Gay goes out with a neck. They lose their starting safety on the first drive or second drive of the game for the game. The shots, I just felt as if they had opportunities and just our guys didn't make the plays. Excuse me. Our guys didn't make the plays. Really breaking down that last drive, because that's really what everybody wants to know about. I felt like, especially so, fake punt, an all-time blunder. If you're going to go for that, just go with it with your offense on the field. Right? You're not going to get anybody. I also felt like, too, if you go back and watch that, the officials and Hockley completely fucked Hamlin. Pre-snap. They step in and both of the back judge, and they're going like this. I've never seen this done. Go back and watch it. You can trust me, or go back and watch it, and you're going to say, wow, he was right. They're going like this. And they step in, and then Hamlin goes to the right, and then he goes back to the left. Did it throw off a little bit of timing? Did it kind of give something to the Chiefs where it's like, oh, wait, hang on, whoa, tricky Bills here? Not sure. Go back and watch it. But you get the gift from God of the touchback, which, again, kudos to Poyer. I think I said it last week. I know I said it the last couple of days going into the game. Their safeties had to have games. And Poyer made a play when he had to make a play. He missed a bunch of other ones throughout the rest of the game. But he made the play to get us the ball back, and he did. And at that point, when we get the ball back on that final drive that we have, there's, I think, like 8 left. 8.5, something like that. So it's like, this is actually perfect. How we're going on these 9, 10, 12 play drives, taking 6, 7, 8 minutes off the clock. If we can just have another one of these drives where we take 8 minutes off and go up a touchdown, you like your chances. So, 2-minute warning. That first down play was, in my opinion, and I said it. I know I've said this multiple times. He had an above average game, but Cook did cook, right? By the grace of God, he doesn't fumble on the first drive. He's down by contact. Drops a touchdown again. What's that? Fifth one this year? Right? Look, I like James Cook. I do. But those can't happen when you're in the position that you're in, on the team that you're on, where that team is supposed to be going. It can't happen. And it doesn't happen with your backup. Ty Johnson just makes play after play after play for this team. Did it all year since they signed him, and then actually gave him opportunities. And he did it again on Sunday. That last drive, unless I was going to be flexing Cook out, and I knew I was going to run the football, that should have been on first down. That should have been a run with Ty Johnson up the middle to get 3, 4, 5 yards and to get it in manageable. So it's 2nd and 9, 2-minute warning. Let's just start there. 2nd and 9, 2-minute warning. I will never, ever, ever knock the opportunity to score a touchdown. So, with that being said, that play call and that throw that Josh made, I hate to say it, but it's kudos to Chris Jones. He made a play to push Dawkins into Josh and just threw off, hit the rhythm of the throw. It made him come up 2 yards short. If Josh is either a step back and he has room to finish that throw off, or if Jones doesn't get as much pressure on Dawkins, and I'm not going to criticize Dawkins. Dawkins had by far his best year as a Bill. And Chris Jones is an all-pro. They made plays. If Chris Jones doesn't, that's a touchdown. When he threw that ball, where he threw that ball to, that is in Shakir's lap. It's a touchdown. And we go up, and hopefully the kicker makes the extra point. And people are going to criticize Diggs is under the middle, or going over the middle. He's wide open. Sure, yeah, no, Diggs was open. He was open. On a 4-yard crossing route, he was open. And does he get the first down? Probably. Bolton's coming down. I would assume that whoever is on, if you look at the play, there's another corner over there. So there's 2 out of bounds. Is he heady? And if it is a first down, just dive for the first down, sting and bounce, roll the clock. Does he get the first down and get out of bounds? Stops the clock, but yes, you want the first down. Who knows, right? I don't think Diggs scores there. Let's just say that. But again, the decision as to when Josh, in his mind, said, I'm throwing this shot in the middle of the end zone because I know that's where Shakir is going to be. Shakir wasn't even on the fucking goal line yet. And he made the throw. So, I'm not going to criticize him for that. I'm not. It's not as if that was a 4th down play where it's like you gave up a first down, right, to make this shot, to take this shot to score a touchdown, right? So you missed there. 3rd down happens, and the ball's on the right hash. And Josh escapes and moves the pocket right, so he's running short. I just wish that he would have either hung for just another half a second or just went left. Take more, knowing that you can come back right with your body, with your momentum. And there was room to run. And I think that he gets the first down pretty easily if he just escapes through the line, through that left edge rusher, which again I think that he does. So that was tough. I mean that's just, and you it's a 44-yard kick. So I don't think that you're sitting there as McDermott. Do we go for this? It's 4th and 9. Here's my thing: if say Diggs gets that, Josh hits Diggs on the second down play, and he gets 4 or 5 yards. Or Josh does run on 3rd down and he gets 4, 5, 6 yards, and it's a 4th and 2. do you say, listen, we're going to put our season on the line right now and try and go win this football game with a rolling clock? Because I felt as if one of those two plays had to at least get the clock moving to make Kansas City either burn a timeout, or Kansas City's going to say, no, we're just going to let this thing go and we're going to hope that we stop you or limit you to a field goal to tie the game. I don't know what Reed... I bet you Reed would have called his timeouts. That's my bet. But Bass misses. Wasn't even close. That's a right hash kick. So that's another thing that, like, I think in the back, and who knows if it was said or not, but like in the back of Josh's mind, it's got to be known, hey, like, don't keep this ball on that hash. You know you have a left hash kicker. So if third down's not there, honestly, just run forward and move, try and shift a little left and take a non-gained sack. Even if you go down, if you lose 2 or 3 yards, put it on the left hash, make it a 46, 47-yard field goal. Obviously, Bass has the leg. It's just he's not a right hash kicker, and he really hasn't been. He's a power fade kicker. So, but again, that's the game. That's what it is. Had an opportunity. They're going to have it again. And it's probably going to be against that opponent, whether it's in a second or hopefully it's in a conference championship next year. But Kansas City's not going anywhere. Let's just say that, right? They're going to reload. If they lose Kelsey, they're going to draft receiver. They're going to reload. Whatever happens this year, the biggest thing that can happen for us is that if they do win it all, if Andy Reid retires, that would be fantastic. Because I really don't care who I beat when I beat him. I don't give a shit. And I don't think nobody should. But anyways, I want to get to this point. The reason as to why we lost that football game on Sunday night. This is the reason. And if you agree, fantastic. If you don't agree, fantastic. I don't care. But... and this is not a brag or a boast or whatever, me puffing my chest. But I think I know a decent amount of football. And I think I know, watching how much I've watched, especially with the team that I root for, where we've been in the basement and then we've been, almost to the pinnacle, what it takes to win. And what winning looks like. How does that sound? What winning doesn't look like is having your number one receiver catch 3 balls for 21 yards in the biggest fucking game of the year. That's what winning doesn't look like. Winning doesn't look like having your number one receiver catch 3 balls for 7 yards 2 years ago in the same round. That's what winning doesn't look like. So, fan favorite, and I'm not discrediting anything he's done in the regular season for us during his career as a Bill. Take out that 2020 run, right? The Indy game, the Baltimore game. Our number one receiver, who, cryptic tweets and all this shit that goes along with him, is an absolute no-show in the biggest games at the most important time of the year. Year in and year out. And nobody's talking about it. Not that I've heard. Nobody's talking about it. And the thing that gets me the most is, and I was very, look, when the whole stuff was happening last year, I was like, they got to move on from stuff. Like, get this guy out of here. I don't want anything to be ruined with my quarterback because he is going to be the reason why we win when we win. And so it all came out. Maybe it was a Dorsey thing and whatever. Wasn't happy with the play. Wasn't happy with the playbook. He's got the gall to come back and go like that. Like, what does that mean? I was this close? Or, man, if you put it that much further, I don't know what that means, right? So I'm not going to, but if it means what I think it means, is Steph was asking for the ball to be a little bit more further so that he could have really caught it in stride, not have to jump and catch it, just run and catch it. I'm going to refrain from losing my shit right now. I almost did. He's a no-show. He's an absolute no-show. And quite frankly, he's been a no-show basically since Halloween. And people want to talk about, well, yeah, you gotta find ways to get him the ball. And it, bullshit. Not 10 consecutive weeks. You got 2-3 weeks in a row where it's like, ooh, man, what's going on with Steph? That's all right. We'll figure it out. We'll get it. They made a play caller change. Okay? You don't think Joe Brady's like, shit, I gotta find ways to get Steph involved? Like, really? Really? You don't think that? The guy was leading the league in yards and receptions for the first, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the year. And then all of a sudden, Buffalo's going to say, and Dorsey / Brady is going to say, we got to get the ball to Sherfield more. Okay? You know what? Fuck the pass. We're just going to keep running it because we don't want to get the ball to our number one receiver. Save me with that hogwash. What I think happened, injury or non-injury, defensive scheme or not, is that Steph just lost it. Like, the sample size is big enough. The opponents are big enough. Right? This is not a 2 or 3 game stretch. We're talking more than 50% of your season, postseason included, where this guy was no-show after no-show. Why do you think the reason is that Shakir all of a sudden is getting more opportunity? Because he's the one getting open. This is not rocket science. It's not just like, no, it's not. Josh is not a rookie quarterback and he's not an idiot. Like, he's going to throw the ball to who's open. And as he goes through his progressions. And when he looks 14's way, more times than not, since fucking candy was handed out, he's not open. And when he is, and when he tries to hit him in the biggest fucking moment of the game, the guy drops the football. That's what happened. You know who didn't drop the football? The guys that dropped the football and were made fun of the entire fucking year for Kansas City. Somehow, some way, Scantling is catching these balls over his fucking shoulder. Why can't my guy do it? That's the reason why they lost the football game. Add it all up. Push whatever the fuck you want into the middle of the table. The reason why they lost against Kansas City on Sunday, January 21st, 2024, was because their number one receiver didn't act like it. And the biggest argument for that, just in a snapshot, right? Snead is one of the top corners in the league. Kudos to him. He's been great all year. Puts Steph Diggs in a mason jar. The whole game. The way that Steph Diggs was catching footballs was a 4 or 5 yard dink or the bubble screen. That's how Steph Diggs caught his passes. The 3 that he, was able to haul in. We get a false start penalty to push us to 3rd and 13 and goal. And Steph comes off the field in the previous play. Shakir is now on the left side of the formation. And Snead is on Shakir. Who caught the touchdown? Kid out of Boise State? Second-year player? He got open. He made a play when it mattered. Snapshot. They lost the football game because their number 1 receiver was a no-show again in the biggest moment of the season. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. But you're rejecting the truth is what you're doing. Let me give you... Whoops. Okay. Steph Diggs. 8 targets, 3 catches, 21 yards. Sunday night. Pittsburgh. 7 for 52. All right. Okay. All right. I'd still consider that like you're a number 1 receiver and Josh Allen's your quarterback. I think you should be a little bit better than that. Let's go back to Cincinnati. And I know that was, the whole thing. 10 targets, 4 catches, 35 yards. Okay. Miami. 7 for 114. Showed up against Miami. Good job. He also... Let's see here real quick. Hang on. Seven for 152. Roughly half of that was on that first bomb that he decided to haul in last year. But again, awesome. Go back before that. Kansas City Divisional Game 2021. 6 targets, 3 catches, 7 yards. 7 yards. Gabe Davis is going up and down the football field, catching touchdowns left and right. And you mean to tell me, and you're going to sit there and say, wow, Steph pulled the coverage to give Gabe... Spagnuolo's not a fucking idiot. Okay? Guy's been coaching defense a long time. You want to see that in the first or second touchdown? Sure. 4? 4. Steph just... Every safety that they got was just at Steph. The whole game. New England, the perfect game. 3 for 60. Kansas City AFC Championship game. 2020 season, 2021 playoffs. 6 for 77. Kind of the same type of game that he had against Pittsburgh last week. 2 weeks ago now. And then you get into Baltimore the week before that. Divisional game, 8 for 106. Indianapolis, 6 for 128. You know the last time Steph Diggs caught a touchdown in the playoffs? That year against Baltimore in the divisional round was the last time that Steph Diggs caught a touchdown for this team in the playoffs. He has been one of the best receivers in the league since he's been with us. He has been one of the best receivers that the Bills have had from a franchise standpoint. Not arguing that at all. But the reason why this team has failed, really the last, call it 3 years, is because they don't have, they didn't have, but their number one receiver is an absolute no-show. Is an absolute no-show. And you're not going to tell me differently. I just laid it out there for you. I just did it. Numbers don't lie. They don't. And you know their number doesn't lie? His age. He's 30. He's going on 31. You know, I thought, and guys that I talk a lot of football with thought that Steph Diggs is going to be one of these type of receivers that ages well in the league. And maybe so. You know, no one can predict the future. But what I do know is that we now have a problem on our roster. And that problem, many people think we don't have a number 2. No, we have a number 2. We do. We absolutely do. We that box is checked, at least for next year. We don't have a number 1. That's the problem. That is the problem. And you can take the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season. You can. I'm going to trumpet with the remaining part of the season. The majority. And also, what have you done for me lately time? And what Steph Diggs has done for me lately is played football like a number 2 receiver. Some of these games that he had, right? Some of these games, let me get to the game log here. One sec. Right? Miami, right? Division, 7 for 87. Awesome. New England the week before, 4 for 26. LA the week before that, 5 for 29. Whew, man. Dallas, 4 for 48. Kansas City, when we beat Kansas City, 11 targets, 4 catches, 24 yards. Philadelphia in overtime, probably the best game outside of Miami. 11 targets, 6 for 74. Great. If that's my number 2, majority of the time I'll take that. Because my number 1 should be trumping those numbers. Jets, 4 for 27. Denver, 3 for 34. And then you basically let the Halloween, the Cincinnati game, be 6 for 86. We lost to the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday because our number 1 wide receiver didn't show up. If you're now just listening to this video and you fast forwarded to the 32-minute and 54-second mark. So that's why we lost. Everything aside, I've sat on here and I have criticized McDermott till the cows have come home with timeouts, game management, situational football, you've heard me say, all of it. The reason why we lost was because our number 1 wide receiver was a no-show and did not make the plays when they were expected to be made. And it is on him and him only to catch that football that Josh literally delivered perfectly in a gigantic moment of the game. Sherfield dropped some. You expect it? I mean, come on, right? Game plan was perfect. I mean, it really, truly was. The one thing that I would have changed in game is I would have attacked the seams a little bit more. They're without a safety in Willie Gay. I would have attacked the seams a little bit more with Kincaid and Knox. But I'm 2-3 drop passes away from an additional 120, 150 in that neighborhood yards extra more of offense. That would have put them over 500 yards of offense against the Spagnuolo defense that everybody talks about. And kudos to Spags. I actually respect him more than Vic Fangio. But offense was not the problem. Let me take this back. The majority of the offense wasn't the problem. It's our lack of weapons and our lack of a number 1 receiver acting like it was the problem. That was the problem. That's the reason why we lost. And people can say, you know, well, just as an offense, right? They're running the ball more. Okay. Well, I'm gonna use I'll use a golf term, right? I'll use a golf term here, and hopefully you guys can stick with this. If you're struggling to hit your driver off a tee box, right? Do you just keep pulling driver every time you step foot on the tee box, or do you go to a 3-wood, or a hybrid, or a driving iron, or something that's a little bit easier to hit, control the whole thing? If your driver's not working, you can't hit it, it's hook left, slice right, whatever the fuck it is. Do you keep pulling driver? No. So, like, it's not there. Their ability, this receiving core as a whole, their ability to get open hasn't been there basically all year, outside of the first month and a half. So, why wouldn't Joe Brady come in and say, look, the way that we're going to be able to get open or to help our passing game is going to be by establishing the run. And they did it very well the majority of the time. And the success that they had in the passing game, in my opinion, was a result of the run. Does that mean that we're going to be a run-heavy team next year? No, it's not. And you heard the head coach say it this morning, and you heard the general manager say it after that. They need explosive plays. This league is predicated on it. You heard McDermott literally say, when someone has a scoring drive, typically in that scoring drive, you have an explosive play. Whether it's a long run, or a good-sized run, or a good-sized pass, or even said if you get some, big penalty, a big DPI, or something like that. If my number one receiver is not giving me explosive plays, why the hell should I rely on anybody else to do so? Gabe sprinkles them in. They don't have it. They tried as the season went on, they tried to get Kincaid in that spot, and he delivered. Kincaid made some big plays. Their biggest playmaker was Shakir, the guy who was on the bubble coming into the season. And I'm going to hand up. Look, I didn't think Shakir was going to be anything of what he turned into. But realistically, Shakir's been their best wide receiver since Halloween. The third wide receiver on the roster, making $2 million, whatever the hell he's making. I don't know what he's making. Rookie contract. Shakir has 462 yards over the last 10 games on 37 targets. Same time frame, 10 games. Steph has 80 targets. How many yards? 422. You tell me who's the better receiver right now. I don't give a flying fuck what someone's done in the past when I'm talking about winning a championship that specific year. Shakir's been their number one receiver in terms of performance. He's been their number one. I don't think that they're going to move on from Diggs. I said they. I would. Steph has an opt-out next year. I think the opt's like a $20 million dead cap hit, something along those neighborhood. If I can structure something where it benefits him going to the next team that I trade him to, okay, I can massage that a little bit, right? Look, if there's one thing that I would agree with the Bill Belichick way, is getting rid of guys before it's too late. And right now, it's that time with Stefon Diggs. The reason why it's that time with Diggs is because it is a wide receiver heavy, heavy draft. Heavy enough where I could go in the first round and get an immediate plug and play. Probably to start the year, a 1B, and not that far into the year, instantly becoming your number one receiver. You've seen it left and right with these high-end guys that come, a Jefferson, a Chase, a Garrett Wilson. Instant number one. There is zero training wheels. They're your number one receiver. We can easily get that in the first round. Pack it on top. You can go DN a couple years ago. Why can't you go receiver, first round, second round? Even if you don't want to go second round, even if you say, we need to add an interior defensive lineman. Okay, we're short there. We're really short there. Especially if they don't re-sign Daquan Jones, which I think they will. We'll get to that in another episode. You come back in the third round and take another receiver. That, in other drafts, he's probably a second round pick, right? With how deep this draft is. But all of a sudden, that guy can be your number third receiver. Number three receiver. Because if Shakir's going to go into this spot being the number two, or vice versa, Shakir in this third round pick can go back and forth, whatever. The caveat that I have is I have a pass catching back, and I just spent a first round pick on what I think is going to be one of the top tight ends this league is going to have for the next 7-8 years. Especially receiving the football. You have that already. I think the jump that Kincaid is going to make next year is going to be that of what a number two receiver will produce. So it takes a little bit of pressure off that third round pick and even the first round pick that you have that guy. Here's the idea. And it's January 23rd. A lot of time. I couldn't think of a better place. Again, this is all hypothetical world because they're not going to do it. Bean won't do it. But I'd call our good buddies down there in Old East Rutherford. I think Dable and Shane would like to have Stephon Diggs. You can sell him on that idea. He would instantly be the best receiver they've had since Odell. And they need that guy there, in my opinion. I'll give you 28, and I'll give you Steph. I'll even throw a third in the 6 you gave me for Boogie Basham next year in 25 into the deal to move up to, I think they're 6 or 7. Pretty good, huh? If you think of when we moved with Kansas City, it was 27, a third, and a 1 next year. When Cleveland traded with Atlanta, it was a 1, a 1 and a 4, and a 1 and a 2, I believe, the following year. Right? That's non-player aside, obviously. That's what I would do. Because, I mean, if not, right? So let's live in the reality world for just a minute. And I know when I can be in reality and when I can't. Okay? So the people that think I'm constantly in this GM Madden mode, Steph's got one more year left. They're going to take that out. 1 billion%. They take the out. So, if you know you're going to do that now, there hasn't been a better draft to replace what you're going to lose, but at the same time also just get in terms of production. They need to go, their sole focus this year, this offseason, needs to be the wide receiver position. They're going to let Gabe walk because Gabe's going to get a contract from somebody. And kudos to Gabe. I've been critical of Gabe. I like Gabe as a dude. You know, I coined the term pizza box. He catches the ball like a pizza box. Pizza box. Receiver. That will be the difference in games that they play, especially when they play the opponents that they did like Sunday night. They made the plays. What did let's see here. Scantlin's got 2 for 62. Made the plays. Rice 4 for 47. Kelce 5 for 75. 2 tutties. Kelce struggling all year long. Made the plays when he had to. It's a number 1 receiving threat. With more age, with more, or less tread left on the tires than Stefon Diggs has. That's for damn sure. Tight end receiver, no doubt about it. That's just what's frustrating to me. And it's just, all things aside, you didn't think, I didn't think that they would have the drop off at that position that they had from that specific player the whole year. And it happened. Again, nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it in the moment. There's nothing you can do about it, now. What you can do moving forward is to just absolutely stock the cupboard, as they say. And I got guys left and right that man. Gonna be a fun little off season doing these things. I don't know if I'm gonna do it every week. Senior Bowl's next week, so maybe after that. You get the combine obviously in February. Once that starts to roll around, especially New Year League, free agency, the whole thing. But I'll do a couple draft guys here and there. Maybe I'll just do one video specifically on receivers, because they are just loaded. I mean, loaded. And it's kind of one of those things where I would sacrifice future draft picks to move up, because the top end of this receiver class is just bona fide studs. But it's like, why would I do that if I know I'm still going to get really, really good players if I sit and stand pat? I'm not saying not move to 28 to 24. I'm saying 28 to 6 or 5 or 9 or something like that. You're going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. is obviously the top of the class. Neighbors out of LSU is certainly up there. Rome Odunze from Washington is just a phenomenal football player. But the guys that, I think, and I'll just throw out a couple names. A guy that I've completely fallen in love with who would have caught that deep ball. Xavier Leggett, from South Carolina. 6'3", 220. Just Google him, YouTube him, as the kids say. Just a phenomenal football player. Mitchell from Texas, Brian Thomas, another one from LSU, great at tracking the ball down. That's also what we need, right? So break this down for just a minute. I don't want to make this too long. If we have Kincaid that can be underneath and downfield, right? Cool. Shakir, most likely going to be like an underneath type guy, maybe across the middle type guy, right? You need that deep guy. You need that guy that can just go and make those plays, right? I wasn't high on him at first. Polk from Washington's another one of them. I want 2 draft picks. I want 2 draft picks, and if I can sprinkle in a vet, they're going to let Sherfield go. See ya. They can save a decent amount or a couple million if they let Hardy go. I don't know if I guess they would like Hardy as a returner. I'm not really sure. Is he worth it because you have Hines coming back? I don't know. Is Hines worth it, right? I think you save $4.5 million by letting him go. So there's going to be a lot of... there's going to be a lot... I don't want to sound like Brandon Beane. But there's going to be a lot of turnover on this roster from a vet player standpoint with a lot of their depth. pieces. In terms of starters that they're going to lose, really nobody in offense outside of Gabe, right? I would love to get Ty Johnson back as my RB2. I think that's an easy signing. I didn't even give him a multi-year deal. He's 26 years old. Offensive line, Morsteady's coming back. You're going to get all 5 of those guys back. Your tight end room is set, obviously. So, it's just... receiver is the number one thing, just from an offensive standpoint, that they can address. And especially when they don't re-sign Gabe, when they let Sherfield go, and they let Hardy go. Now, just from a number standpoint, you have Diggs, Shakir, and who else? Justin Shorter, Andy Isabella. Who's the other guy catching passes? You just don't have the numbers, right? Even if you kept Hardy, you got to add at least 2, if not 3. So, defensively, a lot's going to be dependent upon who decides to hang him up. Micah Hyde, obviously a free agent. Jordan Poyer, that's another guy. Do they just cut him and let him go? Does he decide? Do they both decide to go? Dane Jackson's a free agent. He's probably going to get plucked by somebody else. Dane's a guy where it's like, hey, you're still a free agent. It's April 1st. Then, yeah, sure, here's one vetman. But Milano seems to have made a full recovery, is from what being said this afternoon. Trey is the other guy. What are they going to get out of Trey? Where is he going to be in the recovery process? Does he start a season on PUP? Those Achilles, who knows? Especially with him, that's another guy. I said it when it happened. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying he's going to, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hung him up. Just he's an emotional guy when it comes to that stuff. You saw what happened, obviously, after the significant knee injury that he had against New Orleans a couple years ago on Thanksgiving. So those 2 guys, again, your linebacker room is going to be fine, right? Bernard is obviously going to be your starting middle linebacker. Milano's going to come back. Dotson is a free agent. Do they bring him back? I could see a team, because of how much he played, giving him a potential starting role. Right? Who knows? But again, there's nobody of significance that you're going to have to, we're going to spend a high draft pick, or, the money that we are going to have is going to have to be spent at that position. Not the case. Really, it's going to be D-line, right? Epinesa is a free agent. Leonard Floyd was on a 1-year deal. Daquan Jones, Tim Settle's long gone. See ya. What a significant disappointment that guy was. Had high hopes for him when they signed him. And he looked really good that first preseason, but since then it's just been hell. He was absolutely horrific on Sunday. Horrific all year. Just a bad football player is what he is. Who else? Linval Joseph is obviously a vet that they signed late. I don't know if he's going to continue playing. If that guy wants to come back and run it back just from a one-tech standpoint, a backup one-tech, I'm fine with that. So yeah, that's, Russo, you're going to have to make a decision on the 5th-year option. I would assume they're going to pick it up to make it a little bit cheaper, because he's going to be the next guy. What'll be great is that after next season, Vaughn will be gone. Right, they're going to exercise that option, and that big contract can be then moved into the Rousseau, I believe. And who knows? Maybe they get him more on a bargain than they did Ed. You never know. But, so really, from a team cornerback's fine. We don't need any more corners. We're all set. If they want to bring back like Dane Jackson on a 1-year vet min, that's fine. But, obviously, you're going to have... Benford back. You're going to have... Did I say Benford at linebacker? Bernard? Sorry, I do that all the time. Douglas is going to be back. That's a guy that I might rework too. Maybe kick a little money into the following season, give him an extension, lower his cap number. They're probably going to bring back Kair, from what Bean, said. Cam Lewis, who knows? We're good at corner. Okay, so obviously need a new punter too. Go get that guy out of the building. Kicker, I'm still gonna stick with Bass. Win some, lose some. It was Bass set a really high standard early in his career, and it sucks that like his worst season as a Bill came when they paid him. But I still think he can be a very good kicker, and I have full confidence in him moving forward. I do. Just had a little bit of the yips. You can get rid of him. Anyways, so that's it. That's all I got. This is 55 going on an hour here. It sucks that the season ended. Obviously it does. It's not where we want to be. I'm not one for moral victories, but where we were as a team and how we were playing, really midway through November there, for them to, do what they did and get on the run that they did, I think is something that they should, not take lightly. It's not easy to do what they did. And again, I'm not sitting here for a moral victory. But Miami had a 3-game lead in the division going into the week before Christmas, with home games remaining, one of them being against us. And you see the hat that I'm wearing. So if there's positives that you want to take out of it, it's that. And I think, again, the hope is that a lot of the adversity that they continue to have year in and year out is going to make them, the year that they do it, because they're going to do it. It could be next year, it could be 3 years from now, but they're going to do it. So when they do it, you're going to look back on these seasons and say, hey, whoa, they learned this from that spot. They learned how to do this from being in this spot, that type of stuff. I firmly believe in that type of stuff. I do. Maybe it's the golfer in me, right? You play a course, so many times. You learn where to miss, where not to miss. Can't go long here. False front there. These type of avoid this fairway bump. Those things, right? You don't really know. It's not always going to be, fairways and greens every single time you go out there. So that's it. The wrap on 2023. I'll just kind of, do these as I want to do them and as the off seasons approach. Maybe again after next week with the Senior Bowl. It keeps going. The train don't stop. It's a 365. And if anybody has an in with McDermott or Bean and they can get me in front of them, that'd be fantastic. That'd be cool. I could help. I know I can help. Right? All right, folks. Go Bills. See you next time.